Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Chat It Out in the Middle with Sean. I'm Sean, and this is Tuesday, and this is the Breakfast Nook at 9. So, we are going to continue on in the book of Daniel, and we're going to go to chapter 3, where we'll talk about the fourth man in the fire. And so, just a little recap. So, Daniel chapter 1, we read about how the king Nebuchadnezzar was seized Judah. And in the process of seizing Judah, he instructed his officials to go and capture as many young men as they could from the tribe of Judah, which was a very royal tribe. They he wanted these young men because he knew what they had on them. They were not only like handsome and great stature, but they had great intellect and wisdom. And he knew that they had the power of God on them, but he didn't want their God. He wanted that same power with his God. So one of the first things he did was he changed their names. So specifically, the book of Daniel talks about 4 of these Hebrew boys, and one of them being himself. And the other 3 are the 3 that got thrown in the fire, which we're going to be talking about now. But the one thing that he did is, the first thing he did was change their name in hopes that he would disconnect them from God. So it was Daniel, Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego. Or, now, Daniel's name was changed to Balthazar, but that didn't stick. And I'll talk about that at a later time. But Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, those did. And their Judah names were Hanani and Mishael and oh my gosh, Azariah. I wanted to say all kind of different names. Anyway, the second thing that he wanted to do was to change their diet. And so those 4 boys stood up and said, we don't want our diet changed. And so now we are going to talk about what happens in the 3rd chapter of Daniel and the fourth man in the fire. So again, I am reading from the Amplified Bible of Joyce Meyer's The Battlefield of the Mind. This is her Bible for the Battlefield of the Mind. And again, it's amplified. So, chapter 3. So Nebuchadnezzar, the king, made a gold-plated image, whose height, including the pedestal, was 60 cubits, and that's 90 feet. So big. And then its width was 6 cubits, and that's 9 feet. So it's a pretty big statue. How must he think of himself, right? Okay. He set it up on the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. Then Nebuchadnezzar, the king, sent word to the assemblies, the satraps, the prefects, and the governor, the counselor, the treasurer, the judges, the magistrates, the lawyers, and all chief officials of the province to come to the dedication of the image the king Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Then the satraps, the prefects, and the governor, the counselor, the treasurer, the judges, the magistrate, the lawyer, and all the chief officials of the province gathered together for the dedication of the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up, and they stood before it. Then the Herod loudly proclaimed, "You are commanded, O people, nations of speakers of every language, that at the moment you hear the sound of the horn, pipe, lyre, trigon, which is a four-stringed harp, the disclaimer, the bagpipe, and all kind of music, you are to fall down and worship the golden image that King Nebuchadnezzar has set up. Whoever does not fall and worship shall immediately be thrown into the midst of the furnace of blazing fire." So when the people heard the sound of the horn, pipe, lyre, trigon, uh, declaimer, bagpipe, and all kinds of music, all the people, nations, and speakers of every language fell down and worshiped the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king has set up. At that time, certain Chaldeans came forward and brought accusations against the Jews. Now remember, the Chaldeans are Nebuchadnezzar's people. Basically, this is who this their language. This is their nation. They said to the king, "O king, live forever." You, O king, have made a decree that everyone who hears the sound of the horn, pipe, lyre, trigon, harp, bagpipe, and all kinds of music is to fall down and worship the golden image. Whoever does not fall down and worship shall be thrown into the midst of the furnace of blazing fire. There are certain Jews whom you have appointed over the administration of the province of Babylon, namely Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, pay no attention to you. They do not serve your God or worship the golden image which you have set up. So remember that these three Hebrew boys were, because when they got done in those 10 days of eating what their normal diet was, which was vegetables and water, that because their whole countenance and stature had elevated above all of the other who were eating the food, the finest food that Nebuchadnezzar had, after 10 days, they were appointed to serve under Nebuchadnezzar. So they're saying, hey, you called them to do this, and the very three that you said the very three that you appointed, these Jews, you didn't appoint anyone in your region. You went and got some Jews, you brought them back, you appointed them. They're under you, yet they're not bowing. But those of us who've been here, been by your side, bowing, you didn't appoint us. That's basically what they're doing. That's the accusation. They're saying, hey, but you said whoever doesn't will be thrown into the furnace, fiery furnace. Okay, so I'm going to go for now. I'll be back. We will continue this and see what happens next. Again, this is just finding out about the fourth man in the fire. So, I'll be back.